A very good morning to you. Welcome to Asaki Online. This is the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton Ncube. Today is the 10th of October. We celebrate and remember and bring awareness the mental health issues around what's happening throughout the country and throughout the world. And joining me this morning to unpack mental health issues is Mellisa Ncube, the Director of Pro Youth. Mellisa, welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you, Brighton. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah. What is Pro Youth? Talk to us about Pro Youth. What do you guys do?
Okay, so Pro Youth is a youth-led nonprofit organization. It does mental health awareness, and we also do resources or services that are in line with interlinkages between youth health, youth development, and also mental health. So basically, that's what we're doing.
When you say services, what service do you guys offer as Pro Youth?
Okay, so the services that we offer, firstly, it's awareness. Yes, awareness. Then we have basic counseling. We have support groups. Then we also do what we call non-clinical interventions. So non-clinical interventions, they are those kind of interventions that you don't need to go to a hospital for. So for example, we teach young people how to come up with coping mechanisms, healthy coping mechanisms. And those healthy coping mechanisms can include physical exercise, they can include listening to music, doing art, or what we call art therapy, doing sport. So it's just different things that are actually very healthy for you, both physically and mentally, that you can do even at home or even while you're at work. Breathing exercises. It's just basic things that you can do to just make sure that your mental health is kept at optimum level.
Yeah, maybe to our viewers at home, maybe let's try to define mental health, because I know there's this huge confusion about that. Let's try to define what is mental health.
All right. So the textbook definition for mental health is a complete state of emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So now when we're explaining that, we're saying Uti, for someone to be said Uti is mentally healthy, they have to have their emotions on check. Right, Uguti, you don't really have emotions that are too extreme, because you can be angry, but now there are certain limits to anger or certain levels to anger. Anger that is normal, and also anger that laps over to maybe anger management issues. Now it's still anger, everyone feels anger, but level yakho, you understand? Or even depression. Depression is an emotion type of illness. So that type of that type of illness, it's when we say you can be sad. It's very normal for a human being to be sad, but now the amount of sadness is now disrupting your everyday life here. So now when we're talking about mental health, we're talking about having a complete state of that mental well-being, emotional well-being, even social. So when we're talking about social, we're talking about are the people that are around you feel safe? Do they feel safe around you? Do you feel safe around them? Are you comfortable being around people? Not to a certain group of people. Are you comfortable being around people? So when you hear Uti Umuntulo is antisocial, it now becomes a mental health concern, because human beings on their own, they're social.
What about the issue of extrovert? Someone says I'm an introvert, extrovert, and so on. So are these also issues? There's mental issues there?
No. So those are just personality types. Umuntu is an introvert, is someone who is more closed up. It's very common with someone, the shy type, or people that just don't generally like talking, or who have specific people that they prefer to talk to. Then an extrovert is someone who is very out there, who is comfortable talking to anyone. We can carry out a conversation with anyone, who are not afraid to be in a podium. Those are the kind of people that you call extroverts. So there are also other people that are called ambiverts. So those ones are in between extrovert and introvert. They can be extra and can also be introvert. So many people actually fall in line on that mid-range. It's just that people don't really know.
But again, with the issues of being an introvert, right? Someone who love their space. But when it comes to the issue of mental health and also depression, do they speak out, or do they both issues?
They do speak out, especially if they have very subspaces around them, like a support system. So a support system can be your friends, can be your family, can be your classmates, can be your colleagues. So everyone, that's why you find out every person has a friend, or every person has a family or has someone that they say, which this one is my day one, this one is my G. I can always talk to them about anything. So whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, you still have that support system. It might now be a bit lower for people who are introverts because generally they don't like talking about stuff, or they don't like being, all over the place. So it might be pretty hard for people to even notice if that person has a mental health issue compared to someone who's an extrovert. So someone who's an extrovert who's always out there, always wants to go out and all that, when you see which this person has now become antisocial, it's now a sign that there's something that's going on. You understand? And also, abantu who are introverts, they can have certain abnormal behaviors. Almost, this person has always been a person who is always closed in, but then all of a sudden they like going out, they like doing drugs, they like doing all those risky behaviors. It's also a concern because now you're seeing there's a change in behavior. That behavior might be a sign of a mental health issue. So it's just very important with people, they notice the people that are around them and notice their behaviors, the changes in their behaviors and how their behaviors, they also affect their daily lives. Yeah,
as a mental health advocate and also maybe working with young people and also working with the society, different communities in Bulawayo, do you feel like our parents or the older generation understand issues of mental health?
I'd like to believe Wuti at this moment, mental health programming is still in first stage, where many people don't really understand it. Some may actually have heard of it, but not know exactly what it is. And some might actually not have any idea what mental health is. So mental health, I'd like to make it just clear, it's like physical health. Physical health is when you are physically healthy, right? You look for maybe MMT, or when you have a headache, you look for a parasite. It's like that. So now when you have a mental health issue, just like when you have a physical health issue, you are supposed to look for a certain remedy, right? Yes, depending on the severity of that issue. So now, abantu abadala, or like the older generation, back then there was never providence for mental health issues. The only mental health issues that they knew were or someone is mentally challenged. You see, that was the only telltale sign for them that this person has a mental health issue. And those people were only taken to government hospitals like Ingujeni, or or church, because it's something that was still not fully understood. And unfortunately, that kind of mentality has cascaded down to also our generation as well. And that is mostly because of lack of information, like correct information.
But also spoke about support systems, and there's what we call safe spaces, right? I've spoken to different young people around Bulawayo about issues of voter parties and drug abuse and so on. For me, I figure out there's nothing called a safe space, right? Because, like, for example, if you go to a church, tell your pastor, I'm going through this, they'll go and preach about it, right? Go and tell your friend, no, I'm going through it, they'll go and speak about, gossip about it. Is there anything called a safe space?
Okay, so a safe space, it doesn't really have to be a physical space. It can be a person. A person can be my safe space. So now when we talk about safe spaces, we talk about people that you trust or social circles that you trust. If I tell someone, or if I tell those people that I'm going through this, they'll be able to help me and not judge me, or even to all the other people. So that's what a safe space is. So it's very crucial people recognize the kind of people that can be in their safe spaces. So it doesn't make sense if you have a best friend, but the best friend is always talking about your issues to other people, then you consider that person as a safe space. No, you need to find people that are like-minded, people that are non-judgmental, and also people that will always support you and also do what's best for you. So that is what a safe space can be. It can be one person, it can be 3 people, it can be a group of people, just people that which you can share with whatever is going on with you, and they're also able to help you out.
Let me bring in the issue of culture now to say, in the way we have what we call endodicale, right? And so on. So I'm going through something as a guy, as a man, but I'm hearing this culture notion saying endodicale. Let's talk about culture and mental health issues.
Okay, so unfortunately, historically, sonke we've been accustomed to this patriarchal society, and that patriarchal society kind of made it look as if a man is a perfect human being, strong, and that strength didn't just emanate from the physical strength. They also say that a man is emotionally strong, in which that's very unfair because a man is also human. The same way I can be hurt as a woman is also the same way a man can also be hurt. A heartbreak for me is also the same heartbreak for that other person. So this culture stereotype, ukuthi indoda kayikhali, indoda is very strong, it's something that has to be dismantled because it's the main root of cause for suicide cases and also mental health issues in men. I'm sure you've noticed, ukuthi, they're just going up, and most people that are actually taking their lives, it's men. It's because of that stereotype. As a man, I'm not able to talk about my feelings. I'm not able to talk about my weaknesses because I'll look like I'm now less of a man because of what the culture or what the society has already said about me. So it's something that needs to be dealt with very seriously. Men's mental health is a very serious case, especially here in Zim. Or let's just get down to it, here in Bulawayo. Yeah, it's something that has to be dealt with. And I'm pretty sure it's something that can be dealt with through collaboration. Collaboration with government institutions, with NGOs, with community leaders, with men's programs, just anything that can be there to spread awareness about mental health. It's okay for a man to also feel, because you're human at the end of the day. It really doesn't matter, this person takes this amount of pain just because they're this type of a gender.
Yeah. You spoke about suicidal cases going up in Bulawayo, for example, where you read your newspaper daily, you see someone committed suicide on newspapers. And someone you know, perhaps, right? Let's look at that in terms of your programming as pro-youth. How's the reception like coming from young men? Are they coming out to join your group there and also speaking out?
Yes, they do. We have some that come through and they want mental health services, but the mental health services that they want, they're very limited. They just want to online counseling. Yeah, they don't like the idea of having to be seen or okay, we are meeting at this type of a place and we're just talking about mental health. So like I said, the society has put so much stringent measures when it comes to how a man is supposed to feel. So some are actually really scared to be openly emotionally unwell because of that stereotype. If you're saying out your feelings, then it means you are weak or you're not really much of a man. So it's something that we're still working on, and thank God we've actually gotten champions and alliances from other groups from men. For example, say what. So they actually help us when it comes to programming for men's mental health issues. So, yeah.
But also, how do you break this stereotype from society, and also maybe to parents watching the show this morning, how do you break these stereotypes? So say, if I'm raising a boy child, I'm raising a girl child, sometimes people raise them differently. So how do you then break the stereotype? Say, man, it's cool to cry. It's okay to say I'm not okay. How do you break those stereotypes?
It just all starts with awareness. We first need to know what mental health is, and we have to treat it as it is. So like I said, mental health is the same as physical health. It's not like if a guy says, I know you're being weak. No, it's fine because it's just normal human processes, right? So it just comes down to awareness, like just so much awareness, especially to older generation, which this is what mental health is. And now when it comes to mental health in men and in women, this is what happens. So I also noticed for us women, it becomes easier to deal with our mental health issues because we have friends or we have people around us, and we're allowed to actually feel and cry, and vent and all that stuff. It's easy for us because the society actually made it easy for us. They said, no, it's okay. You're a woman. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to act crazy or act in any way because you're a woman. But now for guys, they don't have that type of a space where they're also able to feel certain emotions. So I would encourage parents, they allow their boy child to also feel emotions that they want to feel and not bottle them inside and say, would you know you're a man, you're supposed to feel this way or feel that way. No, 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 no. They're human. We are all the same. If you want to cry, you should cry. You should not feel, oh, you know, I'm not supposed to cry because of this or that. You're supposed to cry. So, yeah.
If you just join us, this is the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton Ncube, and my guest this morning is Mellisa Ncube, Director of Pro Youth. We're talking about mental health issues today. Marks mental health with Awareness Day, and let me unpick the issue of government now. Do you think government is doing enough in terms of addressing the issue of mental health? You saw the issue of states going up. Do you think our government is doing enough to address that?
I think they are doing what they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're doing what they can. But now when we look at the situation, the health situation basically in Zim, our funding, most of it comes from outside help, from NGOs and stuff like that. So now our way to our own funding for health is on like 11%. And then for mental health, now it's way down, about 2% there. So in which if the government is able to, they can at least increase the budget for mental health. Because as it is right now, our government facilities for mental health are very dilapidated. Like if you look at Ingujeni, no one wants to go there. No one wants to go there because the space, Mowai, it doesn't look safe. And on top of that, there's so much stigma. There's so much stigma that is associated with mental health institutions. And that is coming from people that are actually governed by society. So now if the government gives as much awareness on mental health as it did, maybe for example, HIV and AIDS,
when
COVID-19, you see, when I discuss COVID-19, you'd see posters of COVID-19 awareness and all that everywhere. If we can have something similar to that when it comes to mental health, I'm pretty sure even our mental health cases would actually go down, or people would need help. They would actually know, well, this is where I can get help. So like for now, for example, the government is working with an organization, a Child Friendship Bench, right, on the Friends Project with WHO. It's a really good project because those guys are actually working down Guma communities. So you can find them in community clinics. So if you have some sort of mental health issue that you'd like to talk about, they will actually direct you to those people. So when people might not know what something like that is happening, it's because of lack of awareness. Yes. And also, if the government is able, they can actually integrate mental health education. Google education system, the Ministry of Education, or even integrate it into health for real, Uguti. Ama health institutions, they also have a component of mental health. If I want a mental health service, I have to go to Ingujen. I can never go there. No one wants to go there, you see. But if I know which I can get mental health service from my own clinic, is it Zandami, or I can get a mental health service Empilo or AUBH, it becomes easier. There is less stigma, and I'm bound to get more services that I feel comfortable in, that are accessible to me.
Speaking of the government, I saw the post-cabinet briefing last week about the cabinet meeting. So they spoke about issues of all those centers that are in COVID centers are now changed into drug rehabilitation centers, right? What's your take on that? What's your reaction to that? Is it a good move?
It is. It is. Drug and alcohol abuse is something that is plummeting when it comes to mental health issues and also young people. It's a very big problem that we somehow are not yet able to know how to deal with. So if rehabilitation centers Lawana are actually set up, it becomes easier for young people or even people who have been addicts or who have suffered drug and alcohol abuse to get help. Because at the moment, rehabilitation centers, they're very expensive. They're very expensive. So now if the government is able to set up rehabilitation centers that are like that, it becomes easier. I can also be able now to take maybe my young sister who has a drug problem, and I know they'll be able to get help that is affordable and also accessible with Nyakwan. So so I think it's a really good move.
Today is mental health awareness day, right? 10th of October, right? So I was in some way speak about issue of breaking the stigma, right? So I spoke about that earlier to say, if I'm saying, guys, I'm not okay, people laugh at you, some gossip at you, you can't go to Nguchen, right? How do you then break the stigma as young people? How do you then break the stigma and have an open space, safe space?
Safe spaces, like I said, you need to have people that you know, which those people I am very comfortable talking to, and they'll be able to help me. So what else we can do? We actually usually have online meetings or online sessions where we talk about mental health. We talk about mental health services, where you can get different mental health services. So it would be very wise for people to also follow conversations around mental health, yes, especially in urban areas, because you know there are different organizations that are actually working on this, or different organizations that are working on that. So if you feel the people that are around you are not really safe people that you can talk to, you can always talk to other people from different organizations. Yes, so Tina, we are available. We do also online counseling. Then there is Avangani platforms. They are also doing support networks for young people who have mental health illnesses, and Friendship Bench as well. They also have an online platform, which if you don't want to go there physically, you can actually talk to them online. So they're just different spaces where you can be able to talk to people about different issues that are affecting you. And also it's very important with young people start talking about those things. It was a very taboo issue back then, but now we're saying let's break it as young people, because we're the ones who are suffering right now. It's very rare for you to find an elderly person having a mental health issue, but it's very rampant with young people. So we should also take a stand and be able to talk about those things and see what kind of services do we want, and where do we want those services? Who do you want the person who obviously at those types of services? So we have this mentality, would know someone else is going to do it for us, who's one will do it for us, but we also have to take a stand and also do things on our own.
Yeah, you're programming in the urban areas, right? I'm thinking to myself, there's a young person in the rural areas, deep rural areas, who's going through a lot. They want to speak out, but there are no platforms in rural areas. In your programming, what can you say about mental health issues happening in the rural areas? Do they speak out? Whom do they speak out to?
Rural areas, they are particularly tricky because that's where most of our traditional beliefs still come from. So you find the witty in rural areas, if a person has any mental health symptom, they'll actually think with this person, it's witchcraft straight, or that person, yingozi, or it's a demonic spirit. You rarely find mental health services in such spaces, because already information doesn't get to them. So if information doesn't get to them, obviously services don't also get to them as well. So unfortunately, funding for mental health is still very, very low. So it's almost impossible for small organizations like us to actually branch out and go to rural areas and do programming there, because we don't have funding. But if we did, I'm pretty sure things would be much easier. We would be able to do programming even in rural areas, or even those remote places where it's really hard to get. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about mental health issues now. If you compare in the previous years, right, there's a sharp increase in terms of the cases of mental health, suicides, and so on. If you compare to the previous years, what are the chief causes of these mental health issues?
Okay, so there are different causes that can be attributed to this. So the first and foremost one, especially for young people, is this very unstable economy in our country. It's a no-brainer. Really, everyone knows we're actually struggling, and on its own, it's actually causing a lot of tension for young people, a lot of tension in their families, in their societies, because there's so many expectations. When you reach a certain age, you're supposed to have accomplished this, or you're supposed to have accomplished that. But with the way our economy is like right now, it's almost impossible for a young person to accomplish that they were supposed to have done on the expected societal standard, right? So it's a very big contributing factor for young people, because now when you look at it that way, you realize a young person will feel useless. You'll feel like, okay, I'm worthless, really. I'm staying at home. I am 30 and I'm still staying at home. I don't have a job. I don't have a house. I don't have a family of my own. In which those are things back then which were very possible. When a person reaches a certain age, they would have gotten this and that and this and that. But right now, it's very hard for a young person to actually excel in this economy. So that's the number one contributing factor. Then also another thing, we also have to look at pressures from school. There are a lot of young people that are having pressure from school, which you see, no, school is just too hard, and there are no outlets for them. Would they're able to actually talk about it either with their families, because the families are expecting results. But this is actually not what I can do. So it's those types of things. And also another thing, I'm a family dynamics. You find Uti, mina generation layer my 90s, my mom is in her 80s or 70s. We are not in a space in which we're able to talk openly because it has never been something that we did. So it's impossible for me to start talking to her about my feelings or about my insecurities or anything like that, because our family dynamic never really allowed us to be open to each other. So it's just those, and also all those different other issues. You find Uti, children, abanye, they feel neglected. There is heartbreak. There's so many issues.
There's this issue of social media right now where there's maybe pressure or what someone posts on social media. I don't have that thing, but now I want to have that thing. Do you think also it's a factor when it comes to mental health issues and suicide?
It is peer pressure. You find your other peers have succeeded in doing this and that, but when you're still back there, it causes one to feel really helpless and depressed also. And the more you think about it, the more you dwell on it, the more heavier you feel about it. And that's when people end up going for unhealthy coping mechanisms like drug and alcohol abuse. No, at least if I know if I drink, I'll forget about my problems. It used to be a very famous saying, you drink your problems away, but now it's a reality. Many young people are actually going for that as an outlet for them. They know if I'm drunk, no one's going to talk to me. Or even if anyone says anything to me.
So can you say that alcohol or drugs is a safe space for them? Because, for example, if I vent to you, there's a fear of being gossiped around, the issue of being judged and so on. So are people using alcohol as a coping mechanism?
It is. They are. They are. Many are using alcohol as a coping mechanism. For some, though, kuba is a way of addressing peer pressure. What people actually post, I want to be vapor, with those expensive alcohol, and you also want to be part of the clique. It starts off that way, but then with time, the more that you enjoy into that, you become addicted to it. Or some, they start using it as an outlet, like you said, as a coping mechanism for them, and eventually they succumb to it, and they become addicted to that. So now it becomes a very big mental health issue, which could have been avoided in the first place, but because now drug and alcohol abuse is kind of like an outlet for them, it now becomes that big issue.
But today is World Mental Health Awareness Day, right? Any plans, activities are lined up for today?
All right, so for today, we're not doing anything, but we have an event with Ingujeni Hospital tomorrow on the 11th. So we'll be having a world commemoration on mental health awareness. So that's where we'll be. If you want to come, you can come through. You can come through. There will be different organizations that will be there, and we'll also have mental health patients from the institution. Yes.
Speak about programming for mental health, right? There are several organizations that are programming around mental health issues, but people don't know them that much. Maybe speak to us about them. Maybe name them, where they are found in Bulawayo.
Okay. So firstly, there's us. We are online based, but we do have physical support groups and physical workshops, and we also have an upcoming program. An upcoming program for 2 years, which will be addressing mental health issues vis-a-vis youth health issues like SRIH, and also youth development issues. Then also there is an organization called Friendship Bench. Friendship Bench is available online and also physical. You find them at community clinics. Like, let's say you're from Gulumane, Emakawe, you'll find them. Then we also have Abangani Platforms. It's a young people-led organization. It's also online and also physical. You find them at Bopoma Youth Center, and they actually do support groups and support networks for young people who have mental health issues as well. So you can go there and find them, or you can look for them on on Facebook, on Twitter, and also Instagram. There is also Youth Active Zimbabwe. Youth Active Zimbabwe deals with drug and rehabilitation services. So they work with young people who have drug and alcohol abuse problems, and they do rehabilitation services for them as well. So all those organizations, you'll actually find them tomorrow at the commemoration of World Mental Health Day at Ingujeni. And also Ingujeni Hospital, it offers a variety of mental health services. They have both non-clinical and also clinical services, and the clinical services can actually go up to psychotropic drugs. If you feel you need, or if they assess you, they do thorough assessments because they have professionals. They have psychologists, they have psychiatrists, they have mental health officers, they have counselors. So they have like a variety of staff that is best suited for mental health services. So you shouldn't shy away and be like, no, Ngujeni is this. No. They actually do have very great services. So if you feel wooty, you need some help, you can also contact them or get in touch with them as well.
In closing, it was a close off the show this morning. You do offer services, right? I'm going through a lot. I'm watching the show right now. I want to get in touch with you for this service. Please give us your contact details. Where can I get in touch with you if I want all your services?
All right. So you can get in contact with us on WhatsApp or via calls 0785 982 236. I'll repeat again, 0785 982 236. Then you can find Pro Youth on Instagram and Facebook. So it's Pro Youth Theme or Pro Youth Trust on Facebook. Yeah. So,
what can you say to young person watching the show this morning? They want to speak out, but they are scared of speaking out. They fear being judged. They fear being labeled or gossiped out. What can you say to them watching the show right now?
Okay. So I'd just like to say, Witty, having a mental health issue is very normal. It's not something that you should feel ashamed of or feel wooty, you're being punished for anything. It's a very normal human process. So it's very crucial that you find help. And if you can't find help in your own social circle, try to reach out to as many organizations as you can, like us. You can try and reach out to us. We'll be sure to find AMA services that can be best. That can be a best fit for you. So just try to talk about it, and also try and maintain our social connections. They're very good for your mental health. Social connections and also physical health. It's things that people don't actually talk about or even think about, but physical health is very good for your mental health. So if you just do a bit of jogging every day, it helps keep your mind off those things, and also it actually builds up what we call oxytocin. It's a happier hormone. So when you do a physical exercise, you're bound to feel a bit more lighter, a bit more happier. It's also the same thing with keeping up with our social connections. If you go out with your friends or you just have a day in with your friends, you watch movies, anything. Those are just small things that can help you to keep up with your mental health. But if you feel your problem is really big or you just need someone to talk to, you can really reach out to us. We'll be there to help you.
Mellisa, thank you so much for your time this morning, for joining us on the Breakfast Club.
Thank you for having me.
There we have it, guys. We've been watching the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton, and my guest this morning was Mellisa Ncube, the director for Pro Youth, speaking about mental health issues there. If you need their services, please do get in touch with them, do DM them on their social media pages. Otherwise, guys, do follow us as well as a site on Twitter, Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And have a good day, guys. Hope you guys enjoy the show this morning.